Can you hear me, Nick?
Yes.
Maureen just texted me that she said like 15, 20 minutes yet.
Okay. The meeting is live until then.
Okay, I'll just hang out until we're ready.
Hi, Nick.
Hi. We are already live.
Trying to see, I think, okay, Mr. Hilton is not here yet.
Yeah, I was looking for him. I don't see him yet.
Nick, can you confirm if we're live?
Yes, we're live.
Okay, thank you.
Maureen, any chance we can send Tom a link direct so it's at the top of his calendar email?
Resent.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Hilton is here. I will share the agenda. Hold on 1 sec. All right, Mr. Hilton, when you are ready.
Thank you, Maureen. I am now convening this meeting of the Facilities and Finance Committee and start off by asking if there's any public comment.
Not at this time, Mr. Hilton.
Thank you, Nick. So then I'll turn it over to you, Mr. Willauer.
Thank you, Mr. Hilton. I just have a few updates for our summer project now that school is out for the summer. Our work is in full swing. We have demo work on the chillers at the middle school, which started this week, and they're moving along quite well. Our maintenance crew is hard at work performing repairs throughout the district, as well as preventative maintenance. Our custodians are doing their deep cleanings throughout our buildings, as well as stripping and waxing floors. And repairs from the middle school flood are scheduled to be completed over the next month. And that's what I have.
Thank you, Mr. Willauer. Are there any questions about this from the board? Not seeing any, I will adjourn this meeting and turn over to finance and ask Mrs. Oakley to carry the ball.
Thank you. Good evening, board members. Moving right into our approval items for June board meeting, we have 5 special education contracts. We have 2 contracts for contracted services. One is for security guard. The other is for physical therapist services. We have, as you see, the MCIU Food Services Sponsor Agreement. That actually is not going to be put forward. The IU has decided to utilize a different vendor for their programming that they're going to have at Edgewood. So just as a reminder, we are entering into a lease agreement for 3 classrooms for the IU to have at Edgewood for early intervention and Head Start, which are preschool age children. So they will be getting, originally they were going to possibly use our food service, and they're not going to do that at this point because they already have a provider for those meal compliant for that age group. So that concludes the contracts. But moving right along, the end of the year resolutions that we'll have for your approval, there's 5 year-end resolutions, the budget transfer resolution, which allows us to transfer funds, which will also go on for board approval when we actually do the transfers, committing funds for future expenditures, designation of depository, our investment of funds, and then the homestead farmstead exclusion, which is passed as part of the final budget. The student accident insurance through a live risk, that'll also be on for approval. There were some slight increases between about $1 to $3, depending upon the plan. And lastly, the bid award for the cafeteria plastic and foil. We have a bid opening on Monday, June 23rd, and we are hopeful that we'll have some bidders and be able to put that forward for your approval on the 26th voting meeting. So moving right along, if there's any questions, I'll pause, but if not, I will move into the final budget. Okay, hearing none. I believe, can you see? You can see the budget now. Okay. So just as a reminder, last month we passed our preliminary budget, and tonight we can take a look at that final budget and what that looks like. There is the PDE 2028 document, which is attached to this agenda, as well as on our finance page of the website. So we are obligated to pass the budget by June 30th. At this point, the state has not passed their budget. So the numbers that they provided to us back in February, they're still in discussion and nothing has been finalized. So looking at our revenues, total revenues, $88.7 million, and a breakdown of our taxes, local revenue, state revenue, and federal revenue. As you can see, current taxes have changed slightly from the last presentation, and that's because the homestead farmstead allocation has been updated. We made some staffing changes with the option of the budget that was selected. If you recall, we put 4 librarians and an elementary counselor back in. So that changes some of the state revenue slightly because we do get a reimbursement on PSERS and FICA taxes from the state. So when we increase our expenditures, subsequently our state revenues also increase. So there are some slight changes, but as you can see, we'll move through. The use of fund balance is in that range of $3.8, $3.9 million. So just a breakdown of the local revenue by the account, as well as the Act 1 index, which will be increased 5.8%. So the new millage will be 44.39. And that equates to an average net increase in taxes of $192. However, the homestead farmstead rebate has increased. So for those eligible properties, the tax increase is about $85 annually. So just a comparison of the homestead farmstead rebate over the last 3 years. And as you can see that these funds are generated from the state gaming revenue. They have increased, and those increases are passed right through to homesteads that are approved. So those increases are helpful to homeowners. So the state revenues that we budgeted, $48.2 million. Just as a note, we budgeted the basic ed and the special ed and the ready to learn subsidy at 50% of the governor's budget. So if we are to get that full allocation, it's a little over $1.5 million more in revenue that we will see. But again, no state budget at this point. So uncertain as to where that will land. It's just an outline of those. Federal revenues, pretty flat, $3.6 million. We are diligently watching for any new halts, or, I mean, at this point, the title allocations have been finalized. Got a letter today saying that 21st century funding for the 25-26 year has been finalized, and it is in process of going through the state level. So, you know, just they're sending out letters like guaranteeing that next year your funding will be there, but obviously there's uncertainty beyond that. So moving into the expenditures, just a breakdown of our salaries, our benefits, our professional services, property services, our other services, which is the bulk of the student transportation and tuition costs, which are really the areas that we've been focused on with this budget, because we've seen large increases in those two line items. Supplies, equipment, and then lastly, our pass-through funds for pre-K counts, as well as our bond interest and principal payments. And just a side note, we have about a little less than, I think it's 9 years on our debt service. So at some point in the future, we'll be maybe restructuring the tail end of that, the last 2 or 3 years. But we're watching the market, seeing if there's any opportunities for savings with refinancing. At this time, there isn't really much, but if interest rates drop, we might have an opportunity to, you know, achieve some savings. So a picture of our fund balance and where we ended our, you know, with our financials last year. 23-24 was the last year of our audited financials. We are wrapping up 24-25 as we speak, and 25-26. You know, we have a planned use of some of that fund balance, as well as the refund that we have to provide to Tower Health. So where we would, what we would be looking to use to balance the budget with the budget that we discussed, with the five positions added back in, the efficiencies that we worked through in the last few months, is $3.8 million. And I will stop sharing, but I'm happy to go back and answer any questions if there are any. And I see Mr. Heidel.
If you could go back to the slide with the local revenues. Okay. I'm just looking in here for the earned income tax, 2.85 million, correct?
Yeah.
That's 1/2 of 1%, right? And we split that other half. Well, basically, when you look on your tax bill, it's 1% local tax, 0.5% to us, 0.5% to the borough.
Correct.
Can we raise that?
Uh,
Not in this budget, not this year. I'm talking about future budgets. If we were looking at the 26, 27 budget,
I
are
don't
we allowed
believe-
to raise that from 0.5% to 1%?
I'd have to look. I know there's stipulations on that fall under Act One. And I'd have to check on that, but I will happily check on that.
If you could, I'm just wondering, we always talk about the taxpayer. It is a way for us. And I also guess that per capita tax or occupation tax is fixed by the state, correct?
Yeah, they're actually, I believe the county, it's county-wide occupation. They have a listing of the occupations, and that's all set by,
Gotcha.
yeah, by the county.
Okay. It was just, I'm thinking next year already, and it was something that just caught my eye. That's all.
Yep. I'm not seeing any other questions. Okay. I do have an information item if you want me to continue to move forward. The state, I believe it's the Department of Human Services, this summer is going to continue with the Sunbucks, which it's a dollar allocation that all of our kids are eligible for. Because we participate in the National School Lunch Program and we qualify for free and reduced. We, on the back end, we provide a list to DHS. We upload a file with all of our students, kindergarten through 12th graders. So that list goes up and they actually mail the cards to the residents, the address on file in an unmarked envelope in the student's name. So just an alert, and I know I'll work with Mr. Amato, and I believe that the cards, the file was due to the state next week, so they should probably be mailing cards out by, as soon as they process that file for us. So just to put an alert out there to all parents and guardians that don't throw the envelope away, because it should have a few $100s on. There's a calculation number of days per student for, that you can use EBT cards. So if you're already in the program and you have an EBT card, you should see the funds automatically go onto that card. If you're not already in the program with DHS, then you will get something in the mail. Please don't throw them away. They'll be unmarked. They will be addressed to the student. And I'm being told that they will not reissue cards. So just to put everybody on alert, don't throw away the unmarked envelopes. Please open them, utilize them. There's funding on there that comes from the state. So for meals, for summer meals.
Feel like a credit card too.
Yes,
You'll
it
feel
should.
it.
Yes. So again, if we'll continue to blast that information out, but just if you hear any chatter, please, if anybody has questions, you could direct them directly to my office. I'm happy to answer any questions that I can, but don't throw the envelopes away. Our board workshop is July 17th. As you know, our board meeting for June is going to be June 26th in person at the admin building. And our August board meeting will be, I don't think that's right. It says August 14th. That's our next facilities and finance meeting. So I apologize for that typo that's on this agenda, but our August meeting is going to be the 21st will be our voting meeting. So that concludes what I have. Mr. Hilton, I will turn it back to you. And I believe we did miss public comment, so I'm sorry I kind of jumped through that. Do we have any?
There is not at this time.
Thank you. Then I will declare this meeting adjourned.
And we'll go right into public relations and community engagement. Is there any public comment?
Not at this time.
Okay, then I'm going to go ahead and I did put together, since it is the end of the year, I wanted to do a pretty brief slide deck with some of the highlights from the end of the year. I am trying to, I'm a little out of practice with doing that, I guess. So let me share my screen. Okay, and if you can't see that, let me know, but I'm pretty sure we're good. Okay, so jumping right in. Okay, so one of the cool things I noticed happen, I was going to say at the end of the year, but it may have been after school was already out. We had some more student advocacy. We've had a lot of really good student advocacy this spring. This one was some of our high school students that went with, I believe, Children First with the high school Voices of Education program. Mr. Armato, you can jump in and correct me if I'm wrong, but they went up with a group of other students from other Montgomery County and regional schools. They met with a number of lawmakers, I believe Senator Tracy Pennycook and Representative Nelson were two of the folks they met with, but it's always really good to see them up there. Not only using their voices to talk about the needs of our district, but getting a feel for what's happening up there, because it makes them better advocates in the future and just better citizens to know some of how that's working and get a chance to meet the people who are representing them. So was glad to see that. Pre-K graduation, which I did not make. I don't know if some of the other board members did. I was not able, but that is always delightful to see. High school graduation. Mr. Decker there leading the procession. Governor Shapiro's visit, which was really neat. And if I can move out of this, I'm going to actually play the video because he posted a video about it, which was neat to see.
Hey, I'm here at Pottstown High School in Montgomery County, and let me tell you, these guys got it going on. It is so impressive what they're building here, particularly on the CTE side. I got a chance to tour their CTE program, and they're doing great stuff with the added funding that we've been able to come together on a bipartisan basis and deliver to Pottstown High School. I also got the chance to shoot some hoops with the students. I played on the girls' team, we played against the guys, and by the way, we won. I think athletics is an incredibly important part of the student experience here. It was for me, I know it is for these students, and it was awesome to get out and play a little bit with them.
Okay, so I assume that worked okay, or else somebody would have stopped me. It was great to have the governor come to Pottstown, meet the students, particularly lift up the CTE program, which I know there's just a ton of support for statewide, knowing that we really need to invest in these kinds of skills, both for the good of the students and for the future of the workforce in Pennsylvania. So that was really neat. Another thing I wanted to highlight, and I cannot read it because of the, I don't know if you guys know what I mean, but the thing that is in the way when you're screen sharing and it stays in front of just the wrong spot, and I cannot remember how to make that go away. But you can see it, so I won't try to read it. But I will just say that one of our high school teachers had posted on social media, and Mr. Amato got permission to share it here in this meeting, just highlighting the culture at our schools, which I thought and agreed was very much worth highlighting for a new teacher to be welcomed in, to be mentored, and to know they're a part of the team. And I know that's what we want for, really all of our teachers and all of our students and all of our families. So that was worth a share, and we're really glad to have you here, Natalie. Finally, I wanted to make a little note about communications this year. When we were doing our prep meeting for this committee, I noted to Mr. Rodriguez, who's not here tonight, but I noted to him the number of communications that had come from his office this year. And I knew that number because they had been numbered, which stuck out to me starting at the beginning of this past school year. And I thought maybe it was just a beginning of the school year thing, so everybody could keep track of the rush of communications that comes out at the beginning. But then the numbers kept continuing. And along with the consistency of those communications coming out on Wednesday, I just think that the consistency and the volume of our communications, particularly directing people to things in the community, is just really, really strong. So I would definitely commend Mr. Rodriguez for that, but also just to say to community members, because sometimes I'll hear like, there's nothing in this community for the kids to do. We need, and it's true. We have needs that we need more, and I'm not disputing that. But if you find yourself as a community member, especially as a parent, saying there's nothing for my kid to do, I would strongly recommend looking through the recent communications that have come from the superintendent's office. There's camps and classes and clubs, and very, a high volume of it is free. So I would just encourage everyone to take a look at that. And I will say the fact that they are numbered, 67 emails is a lot, is a lot of good info for our families, but it's also helpful sometimes for going back and finding something that I was looking for, like, oh, I think that was like in the 50s. So it's just kind of fun. So I think that is all I had for that slide deck. Out of that. Any discussion or comments related to any of that? Okay. Okay. Another thing I wanted to highlight, and it really wasn't a positive, so I didn't put it in the slide deck, but you may have noticed coming from the school district on June 5th, I guess have been experiencing some unique scams related to people pretending to be calling on behalf of a sports team or the district with information that makes it sound very credible, using names of local administration or community members. With these types of scams, and there's been scams related to Easy Pass and PennDOT, the scams are just obnoxiously strong right now. I just got another one in my school district email today, pretending to be our board president, trying to get me to do stuff. So I just would remind not just board members, but community members, just think twice before you click on stuff, and before you respond to something, or before you feel guilted into something or otherwise pressured. Like, pause, because we just don't want to see any of us or our community members out money or personal data or anything like that because we reacted too quickly. Ms. Kancianik.
Yeah, I was just going to add to that. Most of the school groups are not going to ask you for like gift cards either, and neither is the board president. So that's the big one that I've been seeing, is like, I need go to Target or whatever
Google
store.
Play.
Yes,
Yeah.
that
Yep.
we're not asking people for gift cards.
Yep. And I'll just throw out there, one of the strategies that I have if I'm ever in doubt is to just reach out to the entity that is allegedly contacting me the way that I know how I would reach out to them. And not that I've ever questioned whether Ms. Bearden is asking me to, I've never even come close to falling for it. But when I'm alerted to anything that seems odd, I go around it and I say, oh, I have this person's number, or I have this person's normal email, and I reach out that way if there's any question. But yeah, just be aware. The tactics of scammers are often to make you reactionary one way or the other. And the less reactionary we are and the more we can pause and think, the less likely we are to find ourselves in a tough spot that way. So just wanted to highlight that as well. Next on the agenda for tonight, I have advocacy, and I'm just going to throw them all together. I kind of put these 3 items on here as prompts, more for me than to commit to get to each one of them. I have cyber charter reform, which is state level, state budget, which is obviously state level, and federal proposals. And I'm not going to do a deep dive into the latter 2, but I did want to specifically note that cyber charter reform just passed the House. I don't even remember what day it was. I think it was last week. Passed the House. It is a really good bill. There's a lot in it. It now goes to the Senate, where it will probably become part of budget negotiations. But it is something for us all to be keeping on our radar, reaching out to our state senator about it, since it's in their chamber now. And generally, any advocacy around it is great, and just general awareness. It would be, I want to say it's about $1.5 million for Pottstown if it passed as is. And that is nothing to sneeze at. It's accountability for cyber charter schools. It's special education funding reform. It's a flat rate for tuition. All things that the flat rate or the cyber charter reform in particular, I think it's so important that costs match the needs. And right now we are compelled as a school district to send huge overpayments, which take special education funding from our students who need it, and sends it to cyber charters that use it for other things that are not special education funding, that are not special education services. So I just really want to see that pass. State budget as a whole is still in that funky June phase where they're negotiating. And I just can't help but mention how ludicrous it is that we have to pass our budget before they pass ours, because it's just all kinds of messed up. Not that I'm going to change it by complaining about it, but I would love if eventually we had something that would mandate that theirs is done, or at least our funding is locked in before we have to make decisions related to tax increases and cuts to programs, because it really does Pennsylvania students a disservice when we have to guess. And in guessing, we're guessing more conservatively, which is smart, but it also we might be cutting more than we need to. And if the state decides to go, very draconian in cuts, which I don't think they're going to do, we could be cutting less than we would need to. And we just have no way of knowing that without them doing their job first. So last thing, as far as advocacy goes, I know Ms. Jampo spoke a little bit to the federal instability there. One of the proposal that was put out most recently, it flat funded Title I, I believe. So we wouldn't be looking at huge cuts there, but it consolidates and cuts a lot of the other smaller programs. And that could obviously have a negative effect on us, but it's all theory right now, just proposals, just troubling proposals. Any questions or things to add from anyone? I have on here just kind of the standing item of FAC update. I don't know if Mercedes is on, if she would want to chime in now. This would be the time.
She is not here tonight.
Okay, thank you. And then I just have public comment. Are there any other public comments?
Not at this time.
Okay. Oh, Mr. Amato.
Thank you. So I think it's probably worth noting that we graduated a class of 188 seniors last week. I believe that's the 147th graduating class. Of that 188, 133 of them have going on to post-secondary education and have accumulated someplace close to $4 million worth of scholarships. The remaining number of students are going into the workforce or the military. So I think that puts us someplace in the neighborhood of 22,000 graduates of Pottstown High School since its inception. And I will say again that I don't know that you could pick a field of endeavor where we couldn't find a Pottstown High School student who is excelling in it. So I do believe we're living up to our school district mission of preparing each student for success at every level. Thank you.
Good stuff. And graduation was great. I know I put graduation and pre-K graduation in that slide deck. And as I was going through our district social media and like, you know, looking at some of the different schools or whatever, there are so many great things going on. There was also 8th grade awards. There was band stuff at the end of the year. There's athletic stuff. Like, I mean, again, just to put a plug in there for district social media, if you are on social media, make sure you are following, because it is great to be able to see what is going on in our schools. And even in the summer, there is stuff going on, as Mr. Armato has been posting about. So I know this week there was a CTE camp for our rising freshmen, and maybe it went beyond that. I just happen to know that because I have a rising freshman. So thank you, everyone. It looks like our next meeting date is August 14th. Are there any other comments from any committee or board members or admin or anyone? Okay. Well, thank you. See y'all whenever our next meeting is. I think 2 weeks.
Thank you, Mrs. Johnson.
Yep. Thank you. Bye.